Core field stabilized. When I turn up the heat, we gotta move.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to State of the Game here at the 2013 Holiday Edition. The next topic I want to talk about is a lot of well-known personalities in the StarCraft 2 scene, probably myself included. I think Sean as well. Jeff, you talked about kind of going to other things. Everyone's starting to do projects outside of StarCraft 2. I want to have a discussion about this and if this doom and gloom around StarCraft 2 is there for good reason. And I want to go to Sean first because you're probably the one that's maybe jumped in head first with this opening of your company with Artillery. You're actually creating a game. So
Yeah.
what was like the main motivation? Was it just expanding the brand? Was that the next step for you?
I mean, honestly, yeah, it's honestly like very simple. I just do things that are of interest to me. I mean, I studied game design in grad school before the daily ever began. That's what I was totally going to do. I've wanted to go back into it for a long time, and just seemed like a good time, and that's about it. So, I mean, really for me, there was no elaborate, like, all right, what is the next move for the brand, and how do I accumulate enough money to buy a part of Asia? You know, like, it's just a project that I'm interested in. I mean, I still run the After Hours Gaming League, which, you know, is League of Legends and StarCraft 2. There's a huge number of teams that still do dailies, that still do StarCraft commentary. I'm a StarCraft nerd. I've played it for 15 years. In fact, when everyone always says things like, well, what happens if one day it dies? Well, you know, I'm probably just going to be still making content for StarCraft 2. I'm probably still going to be interested in running show matches between notable people if they're not already being run anyways. So, I mean, that's really what my motivation was.
The reason I kind of bring this up to go on that a little bit more, I feel like when I do go and visit our StarCraft or Team Liquid or anything, there's like this bitterness within the community where it looks at the Artosises, it looks at the Day Nines, and they're like, oh well, they're playing Hearthstone now. They don't care anymore about StarCraft
God, I
2.
love Hearthstone.
Like, is there cause?
Oh God!
It's a good game. Is there cause for concern that like the figureheads, if you will, are not jumping ship, but putting another foot on another ship?
Well, you know, I would say that like I can understand it. Like I can wrap my head around it because I imagine someone who, say, was disenfranchised in some way growing up. I certainly was because I was really into video games. I got made fun of for playing StarCraft. They used to say, Sean, I hear StarCraft kills your libido. And for some reason, they all thought that was brilliant, and I heard that a lot. Plot has no libido because he plays StarCraft, right? Classic.
You had some nerdy
usual-
friends, man.
Yeah,
We didn't
it's like,
use the word libido. I don't know.
I know, like I was a freshman in high school and I didn't know what that meant. And
Grew
you
up at
didn't,
Dawson's Creek, I think.
right? Like you and you didn't Google things back then. You just wondered and then forgot. So that's what happened to me then. Sorry, we're getting off topic, but you know, you had someone who's disenfranchised in some way growing up, who loves games or into it, and then all of a sudden a game that they love explodes and grows to be this esports gaming powerhouse, and it feels good because it's like something that's part of your identity is succeeding. And then when it starts to not be like a full train exploding to success, I can understand how that could like hurt someone's own identity and why that would feel threatening. But even then, I still don't really get it because I played StarCraft 1 for a decade and no one played Brood War. It didn't even exist, the notion of esports. In fact, people hadn't decided if esports was the right word for it. There was competitive gaming, pro gaming, cyber athleticism, esport. There was no even agreed upon word because it was so not a thing. And yet the StarCraft community survived, and I logged into Team Liquid every day growing up then. So, I mean, I'm imagining in like 4 or 5 years, Legacy of the Void's out. There's probably new units. Maybe people are like starting to mod the game and invent units themselves, and there's like versions of the game where you can like play with these new units. And I can imagine that being totally great. I mean, again, I played Brood War for 10 years and nobody played Brood War, man. Like, most people did not even know what I was talking about. They would say, oh, that shitty game with bad graphics. You need to play the new whatever the hell. I don't know. I don't know what any games came out then. So, I mean, I just don't have any concern. And I mean, the fact that I am playing Hearthstone does not remove anyone's enjoyment of StarCraft. So I say this as a reassurance. As long as you get excited about things like Naniwa vs. Scarlet, the whole the whole space is going to be fine.
Yeah, I want to pipe up here because I think this is the stupidest fucking shit. Like,
I thought you were gonna say question. I'm just like in cold.
No. I mean, I think the whole concept of like,
I'm sorry.
so I got into all this. I got into esports through Quake. You know, like I didn't play Brood War like many of the other players or commentators. Like, I got into this because I love Quake and I love FPSs. And as I got sort of further and further into the world of FPSs, that's when I started realizing that, God, there's like so much more than just Quake out there. And that's why I started casting Counter-Strike and then, looked at Warcraft 3. And it was actually Tasteless who sort of explained StarCraft to me in general. And still to this day, I will watch a Quake 3 tournament, now Quake Live, or play Quake Live on my stream. Like, the game has been dead for the last 10 years, but still they managed to scrape together $50,000 to let the best in the world like play. And I will be following that until literally someone decides that we're not going to spend that $50,000 anymore. Like, I see that in Quake 3 and I'm like, doesn't StarCraft 2 actually have like 10 fucking solid years to do the exact same thing? Because there are enough people that like this game, and I'm one of those people. Like, I can't not play it once a week and feel right. But I mean, it's just so, yeah, it's not as big as X, Y, and Z game, but it still ranks up there in the top 5. Like, if people still put out that money and there's players still willing to play it, then there's going to be people still willing to watch it. As far as the whole talk of like going, back and forth between games, like, it's my advice to everyone in every fucking game, whether it's League of Legends or Dota 2 or Quake or Smite or fucking whatever, learn another game, like, for your own fucking job security. For Christ's sakes, like, get involved with esports. It will help you. It will help you.
I almost want to say is like because League of Legends is the most viewed game right now, and there will probably be a time when League of Legends begins to wane. I think. Well, I mean, because there's a number of
it happens to everyone, right, Sean? Like, it's going to happen to everything.
Yeah, there's a limited number of humans on the planet. I mean, Facebook had this problem because they ran out of humans to create accounts. So there's going to be some point where the growth wanes, and the game's still great. So it won't ruin your enjoyment of it, and that's okay. Don't worry about it. There's going to be a time when Dota 2 might wane, when fighting games or strategy games might wane. It's fine. Like, I'm watching Brood War right now. I have Bizu's stream open right now because I like watching Brood War. I was watching Marvel vs. Capcom 2 videos this morning. Not 3, 2. Because I like the Strider Doom combo, as you might know.
Jeff, you've been wanting to talk.
Yeah.
So.
I'll play. It's like it's not truly devil's advocate, but it's more of like I get it. I come from the elitist Brood War community where same as Sean, like, nobody really played that. But I'll tell you, for those of you that in the audience perhaps don't come from that background, it was cool. Like, in the competitive gaming world, we were kind of revered for playing that super difficult game that not many people played, but was universally respected because of how fucking awesome it was to watch that competition and to see what people could do with those units. So we kind of had this chip on our shoulder / badge of honor, where chip on the shoulder is not really true because we didn't have enough. We weren't respected enough to act that snooty, I guess, but we wanted to. But it was like, I get this idea of where people become kind of campy to their games. It's kind of fun to be a fan of a game and be like, my game's the best, I love it. And then when one of your heroes starts to kind of broaden their horizons and do other things, you do feel a little bit of a sense of betrayal. You feel like you feel like that warrior is supposed to be in my camp, fighting the good fight for my game at all times. And I here's what I would like caution on this subject, and what I would tell people. I like that people care enough to have an emotion that's like, damn, I wish they were only doing StarCraft, and I'm kind of upset that they're not. What I would tell people is to just make sure and express that in a way that you could then report to your mom without shame. Like if you like, Artosis is doing Hearthstone.
What a great metric.
Dear Artosis, I want to fucking kill you because you're a sellout cunt. I hate you. I hope you die in a fire, and your daughter's not that pretty.
Beautiful.
And you send that message, then you're a snot. You're a piece of shit. Like, that's terrible. But for me personally, like, if I was a fan and someone was like, Deer in Control, I saw that you're talking a lot about Warhammer. It makes me worried because I enjoy your content, but if you're not spending as much time on your content, then, you know, you're losing focus and you're becoming less of a factor in the scene, and that worries me. And then I'd respond to them like, hey, I appreciate you saying that, but like, this is something that I really love, and it gives me enjoyment, and it motivates me to do other things like StarCraft content because I feel rejuvenated. And then there's like a dialogue there, and it starts to make sense, and I'm a human and they're a human. But to your guys' point, there is a lot, there's this venom around where people are like, such and such not doing just one game. Clearly they're Hitler. They must have this really nefarious plan involving like fucking people and stealing money and stuff like that. When honestly, people forget we do this for a living. So yes, there are times where, because StarCraft's not the most viewed game, or in Sean's case, he actually studied making games. So he'd kind of like to put that 500,000 USC education to work at some point and like actually do something with it, you know? And that doesn't have to be a really bad thing, but you can get campy about it. You can get like, you can feel betrayed because that's the level of passion you have towards your game. Just be open to interpreting that the other person's a human too, is all that I would ever ask people. Like, every time I get that message, like I put it out there at one point on another show during this year, I can't remember, I said like, look, there's a very real chance that I'm going to have to start covering other games because I want to make a living in esports. In StarCraft 2, if WCS continues to go the way it is, I won't have enough StarCraft 2 to pay the bills. You know what I mean? Like, so rather than just like smile with a webcam on and like eventually like people see me wearing less and less clothes and my house is changing and I'm like, they're just repoing everything I own. But let's talk about StarCraft. You know, like, you won't see that happen to any of us because I've got a wife, I've got rent to pay for. And if StarCraft was literally taking up so much of my time that it was weird for me to talk about other things because, you know, I'm the number one guy or something like that, then I guess you could maybe, again, get to that passion level where you're a little upset that I'm talking about other things. But please understand, us gaming personalities, we've always been around StarCraft. I can say that on this panel. JP comes from like WoW, but he eventually spent a couple years of StarCraft. Wheat came from Quake, but he spent several years of StarCraft. He was one of the first WCG commentators for StarCraft along with Nick. If we're doing other games, it's not out of spite and anger and because we hate StarCraft. It's because we want to be around gaming.
Tyler, you
I
have
think
any
you made a lot
thoughts?
of good points. Yeah, I have a few points to make. Jeff made a lot of points that those were the things I was going to say, but since he said them so well, I'll just say a few other things. First of all, I would say it's sort of a viewer's market right now. And we always talk about oversaturation because it is fucking oversaturated. There's way too much shit to watch. And when you're not watching tournaments, you can watch just personal streams of the best StarCraft players practicing. Like, I couldn't have imagined that before in Brood War. Like, the shit that live streaming has done is incredible. But like right now,
the torrent videos of Mondragon, man, it's like
Yeah.
so hard.
If you could find them.
yeah, like I remember making a VOD once of like just one game of like a nice like rear drop build. It was like the only content anybody could watch because it was like 6 months out from WCG. It's like I made
And it was on
other
Gaia, and you spawned in South, didn't you?
yeah.
Shit, I torrented that
Other
video.
than
What's happening,
Korea,
guys? They're
like-
gonna start talking about Brood War, and I gotta leave.
Other than Korea, you didn't get anything. But I mean, Brood War had plenty of content, so that's kind of a bad example. There's kind of this rift between the Korean content and the foreigner content. Beside the point. The point is right now that you guys have a shitload of things to watch, and you will have so much to watch. As Wheat was saying, like, it's gonna be there for at least 10 years. Like, I can't imagine it otherwise. Like, even if toward the end there's a little bit to watch, not so much to watch. It's kind of underrepresented. You're still gonna have something, but the main point is right now you have too much, and you're gonna have plenty for so many years to. So to even consider that, like you as a viewer, as a spectator, are like getting worried, like from these little moves that people are making. It seems kind of weird when the content is still in your face. Like I don't know how you can complain with a straight face when you're barraged with like all these fucking tournaments. Like there's so much shit to watch. I doubt anybody who's complaining even watched every single thing that they could have. There's VODs there just sitting there waiting and they're not watching them. Instead they're posting on forums, oh shit, StarCraft's dying. It's like you're not even consuming all the content. So I will say that. The other thing I'll say is if you as like a personality in the community share your hobbies with the community, fucking beware, because anytime you share a passion or a hobby that is not StarCraft, you better be fucking
I was not
ready.
expecting you to say the word beware.
Yeah, I
Like
wasn't
it's a
either. I
haunted
can't wait.
forest.
What's coming next?
One of warnings. What's
you
what's
better
it gonna
beware,
be? Beware. It's-
Beware, because yeah, they're gonna fucking come after you. I remember when Jeff was living in the EG house and he was talking about some console games that were coming out, and he was
Sex,
like,
man.
yeah, I'm excited to play these games that are coming out, and like there's an MLG coming up. It's like the guy can practice StarCraft for 10 hours. He can go lift weights for an hour, and then he can still play a fucking console game for 2 hours. That's his day. So he's playing a console game for 2 hours. That's enough to warrant a tweet. And all of a sudden, it's a fucking frat house where nobody practices and Jeff doesn't take his job seriously. It's like, holy shit. Like, do you want to get to know us and know our hobbies and how we spend our time other than StarCraft? So I like, obviously some of these people that, you know, branch to Hearthstone or whatever, like Artosis, he kind of took a really professional approach to it very quickly and was, you know, it wasn't just a hobby, but it starts out as a hobby. And a lot of times people are just sharing their hobbies and they get passionate about it. And they're like, well, let me see what I can do about this. And that's how you started with esports in the first place, was you were passionate about a hobby and you took a fucking risk because there was no gold pot at the end of the rainbow of like being a StarCraft pro gamer. Like you were like, I'm going to do this because I love it and it's a huge risk and I'm hoping to get by. And now you're like lambasting people for trying to get by through other means. It's like if their StarCraft career isn't working out, you can't blame them for looking at other things. Like it seems like a very serious breach of etiquette. And then it seems like breaches of etiquette are now the norm in the community.
Yeah, let me just
I would say
so-
it's gotten better since then, though. Too, though, like that was a learning experience. I actually got like depressed for like a good month after that because that was fucking crazy. It was a 1,000 comment Reddit thread. They were coming after me through everything, like email and Twitter and all that stuff. But since then, I talk a lot about like the Seahawks and Warhammer. It's been surprisingly positive. So I feel like
People
I
should
feel
like
like
me for
it's-
watching
yeah,
Seahawks.
it's-
Jeez.
Can I just say how like that? There's like a fundamentally fucked up sentence. I've been talking about Seahawks and the Warhammer.
Yeah, that's. I started
reception's
laughing when
been
you said Seahawks.
There's, you know, I have found that I have not been lambasted as would be expected for talking about, you know, and so allow me to just give a request. A lot of people talk about like, oh, there's just a vocal minority. If you're part of the silent majority, whatever that means or whatever, if you don't reach out and talk to anyone anywhere, you don't post on forums, don't tweet or anything like that, allow me to just say that if you send an email or a tweet that just has like a nice sentence, that actually helps a ton. That feels really good. Like it's not physically possible to answer everyone. Like just, I mean, I think everyone knows that's true, but I mean, I was like, I just opened chat for my show, just like I was about to go live. I was like, hey guys, sorry, something's wrong with my code, I'm gonna go live. Some guy's like, dude, if you were 30 minutes late, I'd still wait. I really like your show. And I was just like, ooh. And I
yeah,
fixed it.
to turn it positive, those messages help a lot, and there are a lot of people that send them. Like I
Oh
I-
yeah, I mean,
I
oh
want to
God,
give
it
a big
feels
shout out
good.
to everyone that does, because it seems like such a little thing to just PM your favorite content producer or pro gamer or whatever. But those messages get you through the day when they're just like, "Hey, I just want you to know I appreciate you," and you're like, "Oh God, thank you."
Well, the
Dude,
difference between checking your Twitter feed with trepidation or checking your Twitter feed because you need a boost, like that's
Yeah.
huge. Like,
Yeah.
like for a long time, I checked my Twitter feed with trepidation. It was like, I guess I don't want to just ignore people. Maybe, someone I know said something that I would want to read, but at the same time, I'm gonna have to hear what these fucking trolls are saying to me too. And then I check it, I'm like, oh shit, am I gonna feel terrible after this? But if you contrast that with what if you were just getting so many nice messages from all the people that really like you, the silent majority that who are actually fans of you, and then you are like down on your day, and you're like, oh, I haven't checked my Twitter feed in a while. Let me see all the nice messages. Like to me, that's just night and day, and that would be incredible. But
It's happened a
you
lot.
don't. Not many people get such positive response.
That is 100% what I get when I do role play. That is why I made it like the main focus is that there is not like a negative person in there. And Jeff, you can attest to that because you're on the shows.
Yeah,
Like
it's surprisingly positive.
there are people like creating songs about Jeff's character, like full fucking orchestrated songs.
Yeah.
Spending like 10 hours on a single song. It's like, yeah, here's this. Thanks
You
for
know what's
doing
crazy
what you do.
too is the most negative thing you'll get, and we all got a few of these, is that we play these characters, so
Yeah,
people would be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
they'd be like, I think such and such made the wrong call there. They totally
Right.
wouldn't do that. And then a couple times, me being me, I couldn't help myself. I'd be like, hey, asshole! Like, I acted them that way because I wanted to, and they're like, oh, sorry, I forgot there's a person that acts these out. I'm sorry, I really enjoy your show, and you're like, oh, well, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You're forgiven. and
Yeah,
I'm
people
sorry
make that clarification. They're like, I fucking hate Vincent, but I love you, Jeff, but your character's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Which is good. Let's go and open up the phones. I don't know if you've already gotten some calls, Weed. I did show the number on stream by
Yeah,
writing it
yeah.
on the back of a letter because I don't have a
Yeah,
graphic
there's
for
a
it.
few already. There's a
Well,
few
those
in
are
the
probably
audience.
ones that are like, that must be someone's phone number that I can call. It's probably just a random
I
number.
just picked one up. I just picked area code 615. What's up? Welcome to State of the Game.
Hey, I'm Chris. How's it going?
Hi, Chris. It's going
Hi,
good.
Chris.
Hello. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is something that nobody talks about, and that's StarCraft is really difficult. It's like a really hard game. And what got me to play 1 vs. 1s in Brood War was like 5 to 8 years of custom games. So the news that the arcade was going to be free was a really big deal for me, and hoping that maybe that scene will kind of pick back up and people will be playing that, and then they'll get more of the bravery to go into 1v1s and competitive StarCraft. And I just wanted to know what you guys thought of that.
Dude, amen. I'm glad someone actually brought this up. I think it's awesome that the arcade is going to be free because we know that StarCraft can't be free, but this is one step. And dude, there are some amazing games. I mean, Star Strikers is by far one of the most amazing custom maps I've ever
Wait, you're
played
just
in a game.
promoting that because you've won like 2 of these tournaments, man. Shut
That too, but I played Magecraft
Big
the other day,
sellout.
and that's ridiculously fun. I played lottery defense, which I mean, it's just it's good. I want to hear from you guys. Like, I'm curious if you think will people be attracted to this? Because usually people are
Absolutely.
attracted to free
Absolutely.
shit. You do,
We
yeah.
need to get this word out. Because to be honest with you, like, so we did an interview with Destiny at the end of that show match after he beat me, and he didn't even know, or no, maybe it was unfiltered. But anyways, he didn't know that it was for free, and that's like a major point. He's one of those like critical minds of StarCraft. Like, he's looking for the pros and cons, and he didn't even know. I'd like, if anything, if we could get some of the word out on this show. Like, I'm glad this. Thank you, Chris, for asking this question. It's awesome. This is a huge selling point. The quality of games in that arcade are fucking unreal. Like,
Yeah.
what they need to, you know what's sad is those, god damn it, I'm gonna make fun of somebody, I love him, but I just do such a damn good impression of him that I have to. But it would be like, you know those videos that Blizzard was doing with Kevin Nocky? He was like, hi, I'm Kevin Nocky for Blizzard Entertainment. We're going to do a little video right now about talking about the game. And then they go into the game and they show it. They were really cheesy, dumb, bad videos, but they at least got the word out
Yep.
about this shit that really needs to get out. Like, and I think they stopped making them, which is too bad. Probably because they were cheesy, dumb, bad videos. But the word needs to get out because the quality of the arcade is really high, and now that it's free, like that word is such a big lightning rod this day and age in gaming. Like I grew up, guys, and I got games on Christmas and my birthday because I didn't have enough money as a young strapping young lad to pick up these $40 PlayStation 2 games and shit like that. But now people are like, the game costs $15 on Steam sale. I'm gonna wait till it's 10. Fuck that. And I'm like, what? But now, like the arcade's actually free, which is a huge selling point. So big ups to Blizzard for doing that. That's awesome.
There's not a clear trajectory for someone to get into 1v1ing. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I do the the daily, try to like focus on the educational side of things, and some days I'm like, I cheated because I played Brood War for 10 years before I began StarCraft 2, and I mean the starting on ramp is like 4v4s, infinite money maps, and custom maps. So I mean it can only be positive. At the very least, if there are more people just who will never play 1v1s, who will never play anything competitive, who just enjoy the arcade, there's going to be some people from there who will tune in and start watching the StarCraft 2 scene and be very similar to what Brood War was. People who didn't play, who just watched because it was so awesome. It's fantastic. And recommendation, Ice Baneling Escape, great custom map. Angry Templar, really fun. Sniper. Yeah, man. Oh, it's so good. I'm so good at that game. Sniper Pro Mod's a lot of fun, too.
Next call.
They
Yeah.
have
Thank you,
both.
Chris, by the way. Thank you. Good
Yeah, huge
question.
shout out
Thank
to
you,
Chris.
Chris.
Good question.
And guys,
Marine
there's
Arena. Sorry.
great audience listening. If you guys could all do me a favor, and we should do it too. Like at the end, we'll give our shout outs and stuff like that. But let's get the word out that this is free. Let's try and do what we can to spread that to people. I don't know if there's a link. If someone can tweet me like
so here's
a
the
link
deal.
or something.
I mean, this is great and we're all excited, but it doesn't come till the next content update. So
all
it's
right,
like,
let's wait till then
let's
and
like
then get
not
the word
waste
out.
the effort quite yet. But yeah, when it's out, like tell a buddy about it.
Let's
you know,
DDoS
get in
Blizzard
there,
right
play
now,
some
guys.
Star
I'm in.
Trek.
Let's fucking send all 12K.
No, thank
Blizzard.com,
you. That's good,
go
'cause
check
I would've
it out.
blown my wad on this way too early, and it would suck because people are like, "What's this? It's not free." I get
Yeah, I
all
know.
those
To
tweets,
go to
so.
hell. All right, we're gonna take an unknown phone number. Hello, welcome to State of the Game.
Hi,
Hi. What's your
this is
question?
Drew. How's it going? My question is, with the upcoming gamers, we got Suppy. We've got some new faces in the StarCraft 2 community. What makes Scarlet and Naniwal so good as Foreigner, and how does a Suppy that gap?
I don't know if we missed the last.
I think
part
how
of your
does Suppy
question.
get
Cut out a
that
little
good?
bit. Am I correct in assuming what you're asking is with up and coming people, what's the difference between like a Naniwa and Scarlet and those up and coming players? How do they aspire to that level? Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah, and what is it like? I hear a lot that it's about their mental, their mental capacity or whatever. Is that it, or is it other things, or maybe comment on that?
So here's the thing. Unfortunately, if you give Tyler like 6 hours, he will be able to give you the answer that you would actually need. But in the interest of everybody else except for Tyler, we're not going to give him those 6 hours. So there's a lot of things that go into making a Naniwa and Scarlet. And then there's a lot of things that we couldn't describe because if we could, there'd be more Naniwas and Scarlets. But I think a big part of that, in context to your question, is that a person like Suppy, or Suppy's kind of a bad example because he's been on a few of these stages, but some other up-and-coming players, is experience. That's a huge thing. Scarlet and Naniwa have traveled the world. They've trained in Korea. They've played on the biggest stages. They've won championships, so they know what it takes to get there. And they for the most part, know that they're good enough to be back on those stages. Whereas for a lot of people, that first time getting close to that big stage is terrifying because they don't know what it's like to be there. They don't know if they're going to ever be there again, and they don't know if once they're there it matters. Because if you take second, who gives a fuck? But if you win, that changes the course of history for you and everyone around you. So experience is a big determinant factor.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much
Thank
for your
you.
call.
Slam dunk!
Owned it. Next call.
Okay.
This is really easy. I just have.
No, I do want to say something too. That there's also like a certain
No,
amount
next
of
call.
just
Fuck
like,
off, Sean.
Oh, next call. Okay, guys.
No, you-
Merry
you-
Christmas.
Go
Ho, ho,
ahead,
ho.
man. What do you want to say?
Area code 973.
Well, we already
Do
took-
it. No, skip it. Fine. It's cool.
Oh, hey guys.
Hello.
I have a bit of a stutter. I'll try and keep that down for you though. I was wondering, in the past year, there's been a lot of pretty good StarCraft storylines that have kind of gone on through different tournaments and players. I was wondering if you could share what was one of your favorite storylines.
Sure, great question. We'll go ahead and answer it off air, but thank you. That's a great question.
Favorite storyline? I
So,
think
Sean.
for someone that didn't watch all that much, I think it's just the Jaedong storyline of him always
it.
placing. Yeah, I'm just gonna steal Jeff because I knew he was
What am
gonna
I
say it.
supposed to say?
Yeah,
right.
now I make it because you actually watch this shit, Jeff. I watch by.
But you know what? Even
Association.
though I got like, even though that was one of the better storylines of 2013, it didn't quite end how I wanted it to.
I know.
It was like
Yeah,
watching
well, it
an
was-
action
yeah.
Supposed
movie,
to
and
be
you're
close
like,
on.
"Oh fuck!" If it ends up this way and it goes the other way, and you're like, "Well,
Yeah,
that was cool, but man, it
SOS one. Yeah.
Yeah.
could have been cooler."
it could have
I
been
mean,
a lot cooler.
Not
for
to
sure.
take away from Jadon.
So I want to come way back to a player who I believe is a Heroes of New Earth player now, Testy. He's an extremely good Brood War
Really?
player. Yeah, he's a good MOBA player, and he excellent StarCraft player. And I remember I had all these like favorites when I was young, based upon like how like the strat that they did, or if they had a cool ID. And I remember I said, "Who's your favorite player?" And he said, "Whoever wins." And I was like, "What do you mean, just whoever won the match?" He's like, "No, the guy who's able to just win 80% of his games over like 200 games, in a set period or just in general. Like, because this game's so fucking hard, being able to win a lot just mesmerizes me. I just like who wins." And in honor of that statement, I think the most interesting storyline to me was Teja, who won 5 majors this year. When everyone's talking about how Terran is
You did
so
have to give that explanation for why you liked him, by the way. Because otherwise,
Good
you're like, Tasia, really interesting.
Teja, really, wow, good answer, Sean. So, like, I mean, the in a time when everyone's talking about how Terran's weak. I mean, even Jeff, you were joking about this earlier. Like, you're Terran. Your strategy is decided for you the instant you hover over the Terran is your race button. And yet, Teja continues to do really cool little tweaks and crush. Like, crush. Acer Team Story Cup. It's like Team Liquid loses games 1 and 2, and then Teja wins 5 games in a row. Okay. Well, it looks like Team Liquid won game 1 and 2, lost game 2 and 3, and then Teja won all the rest in a row. And, like, he just has this uncanny ability to win. And the game's been out for 4 years, so a lot of aspects of it are solved. A lot of the straightforward build orders are done. People get the maps. They've played on them for a long time. And Teja still has some extra magic that lets him win. And he's adorable. So I'm going for Teja here.
There you go.
I hope he wins WCS events.
Tyler, what was your favorite storyline?
I was gonna say Tasia, just like Jeff was gonna say Jake.
Yeah. Should have spoke up. It's
I
y'all's
mean,
fault.
actually, I have a very. I never knew Testy said that, but I have a very similar sentiment. Like I like the winners. I always had my favorite Protoss player, and then my favorite player, who was more often than not just the guy who was winning everything, because it's always just incredible to watch someone get on another level. Like when Innovation first hit the scene and he went on his rampage, I was fucking entranced. Like, I had to watch every single game that Innovation played. Like, once I saw him win one series and was like, holy shit, this guy's for real. Then I was like addicted to Innovation. Didn't matter that he played Terran. Like, it was really awesome. But then Taja's gotten the last laugh now because Tasia was the guy that did it the rest of 2013.
Jeff, are you just gonna go with Jadon?
Jeff,
still?
what about you? What's
Yeah.
a storyline that's interesting to you?
Well, okay. So I'm going to be honest. I'll give the elaboration for why, and I've told the story a few times, but it is Jadong. I was while you guys are giving your answer, I was racking my brain for who else I would think about, and so just do me this favor, everyone, to the best of your ability, and try for a second and imagine that I'm not just an EG shilling. Like, I only like.
Can't
You want,
do
you want me to
it.
turn your
Can't
webcam?
do it.
Well,
Wait a
It
minute.
sure
I
allowed
recognize your
me
voice.
to
Wow.
XMG. Like, no.
I heard Jeff was paid to talk about the Jadong storyline on State of the Game.
yeah.
Yeah.
I could confirm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Alex actually gave me half that, and then we're splitting it. That's how it works.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You should be able to retire then, because the amount of money, even half that would be. Anyways,
Yeah.
Going back, Jadong has absolutely always been my favorite player. The guy brings an intensity, and this starts in Brood War. He was just incredible, absolutely incredible. So fun to watch. Him versus Flash, whenever that happened, it's what I imagine the boxing scene had hoped it would turn into, where there was these guys that were repeat. I mean, that's a weird. Not a lot of people are gonna get this reference. I'm just gonna stop right now. Exactly. It was just amazing. Anyways, because Korea was Korea at the time, they were the alpha dogs. They didn't. There was no such thing as like consider the foreigners. Korea just laughed at the concept. It was like, no, sorry, we're Korea. You need to just come and try to be us. I would wake up at 3 a.m. to watch the Jadong matches. You know, we had to download VODs. You never got replays. LOL, what a joke that is. You just replays were like sacred, weird things that just sometimes somehow leaked out of Korea, but never any other time. You fast forward to StarCraft 2, when the guys were starting to transition over, he kind of maintained that mystique for me, just in the sense that this is the one guy that I really looked up to throughout my entire career. And I've been with everybody else. I played against Bisu. I sat across from Effort and played against him. I met Stork. I laughed with him while he was rigging his match in WCG against Straylock and then some other Protoss. I can't remember who it was. No, it wasn't Straylock. It was X. It was X and another Protoss. Anyways, again, another story that nobody else is going to get. It's WCG 2007 World Finals. He had like 4 overtimes. Just crazy stuff. But he was the guy that was the big one for me. EG goes out and signs him. It's absolutely, you know, like it was a weird moment for me. I was on my honeymoon with my wife when this happened, and then they go off. Or actually, it was before that, I think. No, it was that. And then he played in our first Pro League match was during the honeymoon. But just big, monumental marker moments in my life of StarCraft. He was at the center of most of them. And then as a teammate, he's like this ridiculously humble. He makes a business to like know everyone's name and make them feel special and inspire them and like be really kind to them. And he's just like the consummate pro. So you fall in love with him if you haven't already, is what happens. I am with him. I'm hosting the first DreamHack that he attends. He gets to the finals. He loses heartbreakingly, and he sits in his booth. And for 5 seconds, he cries because that's all he's going to allow himself. Like, he sits there, puts his head in his hands, and there's tears coming out of his eyes, his bloodshot eyes. He's really sad because he came so close to winning early on, and he didn't get there. And I was the only one in the booth. I opened the door, I put my hand on his back and say, you know, like, we're behind you, and you're going to get the next one. Don't worry about it. And, of course, that doesn't end up being true. But, like, I saw that emotion, and from that moment, I was locked in. He was my favorite player forever, and always would be. And throughout the entire year, like a really good or bad story, he came so close so many times. So my heart was right there every time. And then at BlizzCon, when he went to the finals and he was playing so well, that was kind of a weird, monumental moment, because it's like the story is supposed to be that he wins, right? Like, that's supposed to be the big championship that he wins. And after that win, you know, everything's okay in the world. But he didn't. And it was kind of a rally moment. And then he didn't even win DreamHack. That was the second tournament he was supposed to kind of win. And then he goes off to NorthCon and he wins that one, which was a really important moment, but it still had kind of that weird, that's not how it's supposed to go. Like NorthCon, Asus, you know, no dig to them, but that's not MLG, that's not DreamHack, that's not BlizzCon, that's not WCS, that's not the big tournaments. So it's kind of a weird feeling. Like, it's the one I followed the most, but it didn't end the way it should, so it feels a little bit unresolved, is I guess my point.
Can I just add one other thing to that? Because every single time you talked about Jadong and just like him doing better and better, can we reference the very first match that we ever saw from him in StarCraft 2? Which just saw, like, if you remember, it was during that Brood War StarCraft 2 hybrid shit. Yeah. And I remember watching it, and like, all I can recall is like it being similar to the Matrix, where they're like, fucking Neo's gonna jump, man. Like, do you think he's gonna make it? Like, is he gonna make the jump?
That
like,
was when we were on that
like,
hotel room, right?
He's gonna fucking make the jump. Like, Jadong is gonna blow my mind. And all I remember is watching like 30 roaches go up a choke point, and I don't remember the match, but like this fucking Protoss army just ate his entire army alive, and I was like, he did.
It was the
make
beach
it.
one, man. It was like
He
Belcher
did, yeah,
Beach
like
or whatever.
he did make the fucking jump. Like, does this mean he's not the one? But I just think about that match every single time I see him just completely kick ass these days, because it really just I love that thought that here was a guy, he obviously loved the game and everything he stood for in Brood War, and then he comes to StarCraft 2 and it's just absolutely fucking horrid. But he does climb his way up, and he at least does grab that championship finally.
Yeah, I mean, his original ID was Endai Jaedong, which stood for Never Die Jaedong, because he was so tenacious. He'd play for like 16 hours, having lost almost every single game. Would go to bed and get up and play for another 16 hours and lose almost every single game, like zero positive reinforcement. But he was just too tenacious. He would just hang in there, man. Never Die Jaedong.
Let's do one or two more calls, and then we'll probably start wrapping up.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do this one. We got area code 520. Hello, welcome to State of the Game.
Hey, this is to In Control. I want to know if, because he's a Seahawks fan, I want to know if they were going to make it to the Super Bowl.
I think so, man. They better beat St. Louis, and if they do, then they're going to have home field up until the Super Bowl, and there's a really good chance that they should, but they just lost to Arizona at home, so my faith is rocked a little bit, but I hope so.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Let's do one or two more calls, and then we'll start to close out.
Jeez,
I
dude.
honestly thought that was going to be a troll, and I was just like, well, it's happening, guys. We're
Dude,
all about to
that's like the
experience this.
scariest moment. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, guys, all we know is the area code.
Yeah, it
Let's
was
hear what
Nate.
he has to say.
I got
We got another one.
I got
Area
real
code
nervous.
201.
Oh,
Hello,
shit,
guys.
Tool.
Yo.
My name is John.
Hello, John.
Hi, John.
So, I know you went over the whole fact that basically there needs to be a better mindset for the community. So, but the problem is, I feel specifically, is that there's not enough grassroots movements. Like, there's nothing to help these teams to start up.
You know, that's actually totally true. Like, I mean, esports, I think as we've seen in the last few years, any company that tries to make their game an esport on release fumbles at the very least. It has to, like, come from the ground up. And I feel like it kind of began that way, but it petered out for some reason. I don't know why. Like, do you remember how huge Barcrafts used to be? Like, every event there was, like, a Barcraft listing,
Yeah.
and then I, like, don't really know what happened. I just kind of stopped hearing about Barcrafts, and that was it. I mean, in my eyes, getting people into the game is something like that. It's just creating a party. It shouldn't really be too terribly much work at a simple level. You can have more ambition and like host a monthly tournament at a local LAN cafe and publicize it on TL and stuff like that. But I mean, like, not a lot of people at Harvey Mudd used to play StarCraft, but I used to take over the main auditorium and send emails out to the whole school because I was like friends with the guy who like approved school-wide emails and be like, StarCraft tournament happening in the Galileo Auditorium at 2 a.m. And like a whole bunch of people started to show up. And then all of a sudden, like Harvey Mudd started to get really into the CSL and stuff like that. And I mean, honestly, in terms of the grassroots growth, something like a Barcraft is ambitious and is great. But even something as simple as just getting your buddies over to watch some StarCraft and taking a photo and saying, ready to watch GSL, and tweeting my brother and Artosis, and they'll probably retweet you because it's fucking awesome. Like, anything like that, like any retweet or any tweet I get that's like, hey, I'm going to watch some StarCraft, and here's a photo of my cat nearby. I'm like, oh, let's retweet this and this cat, man.
Well, I meant more specifically, like, I run Barcrafts myself.
Oh, rats.
But but I meant more specifically for the teams. Starting up a new team, obviously, there's a lot involved in it. But like with these teams, like for example, Western Wolves, just recently is shutting down rather at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So it's more of what should teams do?
Dude, it's almost. I feel bad because we got a little negative about a few subjects, and this is like another one. But to be honest with you, I don't know how any team exists outside of like a very few. Like, it's a sombering fact, but actually a lot of teams operate at a deficit for a long time, and it's a question of whether or not they can actually make it out of that. And a lot of them don't. The Korean teams' economics are really scary. Like, there's more teams talking about closing than what's even publicly announced and what's out there. EG is like known for just like shitting money and being filthy rich, but they honestly are like a couple of bad decisions away from having to make like division cuts and really crazy serious changes and stuff like that, because there's not just billions of dollars floating around. These deals that you see teams sign, a lot of times when a team says like, oh, this is such a stupid subject, actually, it's so scary. A lot of times when a team announces a sponsor, like, let's pretend there's a company called Alpha Keyboards. They are not getting a check for $100,000 from Alpha Keyboards. They're getting keyboards. And that's nice and all, but that doesn't pay the bills. That's the beginning. Once they represent Alpha Keyboards really well, then next year, Alpha Keyboards is like, you guys did a great job. How about a check for $5,000? And that team's like, gimme, because I'm in debt. And they're like, okay, here's your $5,000. And then that team starts planning to further invest that $5,000 check because they need to invest to grow into a situation where they're now making money. But if those investments don't pan out, they're already all in. They're gone now. So if you're asking the question, like, what does a team do on a grassroots level to become sustainable and like the scene's really hard, there is no answer, man. It's a fucking shark eat dog. Dog sometimes brings AK-47. Sometimes the AK-47 jams. Like, everything's dying out there, man. It's crazy talk. Crazy talk.
But this isn't just StarCraft either. Sorry, this is like every game is just sorry, Tony, go ahead.
Sharky dog.
Okay, I'll go ahead and you can go if you still want to. But I was just gonna say, like, I don't think anybody's saying that the problem with the scene is that we don't have enough players. Like, we have enough players.
Too many.
The things people complain about are like me. Like, somebody wants to see me successful when I'm like not even in the top 100 skill wise in the world. It's like, you know, your favorite player is 60th best in the world and they're barely scraping by. Well, let's get some support under them or whatever. And to think that you're thinking about, you know, I'm not trying to like come down on you, criticize or question too much, but to think about like new teams forming to support even more players, it's like, what role are they going to fill? Because I think we already felt a little oversaturated on content this year. So, and there's a great variety of players. It's not like it's the same players winning everything every single time. There are some people who dominate, as there needs to be, because if it's somebody different every time, that's bad too. But I would say we might even have too much of a great variety of players right now. There are so many people already there playing the games, and I'm not sure what role new teams would fill and why we need any more players than we already have. And so in that sense, you could say it's a dead game, but it's not true at all, because the truth is that we were like oversaturated, and now we're kind of trimming the fat a little bit, and we're saying, look, we don't need 500 StarCraft 2 players to support the competitive StarCraft 2 scene. I mean, I guess you always need the people up and coming, but as far as how many people are making a full career out of it, not that many. I'm not sure what they would contribute. They would seem to be just like kind of leeching off of it at that point.
And it's a sombering thing to say. That's why I apologize for us giving you this answer. It's like, hey guys, I really love StarCraft and I want to start a team. And InControl's like, no, everyone's dying. And Tyler's like, why? There's too many. You're not important enough. Like, give money to the ones that are already there. And it's like, that's such a brutal thing, but to be honest with you, that is the reality. Like, more teams are going to close, more players are going to retire, and it's because when Team Eastern Cats like announces an interview session with boring ass Korean player XYB, people don't tune into that. They don't care, and we don't need another team making more interviews like that. There's no answer to that. We need. There's no simple answer to that. But the problem is, like, too many people are thinking like, well, if you like StarCraft, you should be able to make a living off of it. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It just isn't. So to keep the scene that we have and to keep it strong and to keep growing for a better future, instead of thinking about paying for that guy in Diamond who broke up with his girlfriend and cashed in on his dad's lottery ticket and is going to spend the next year trying to break into Masters to become a pro, we should start thinking about trying to help the teams that are here and have been here, and they're the ones that are far enough in that they can make a real impact. That's so sad to say, and I'm sorry, but it's the reality.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Good luck with the Barcraft, by the way.
Thank you.
Keep it going, man.
I love the way that started. Sean's like Barcraft. Can you
Where
we
are
never
they,
hear
man?
about him. Why are people
He's like,
not doing
I've already
that?
fucking
He's like,
done that, Sean. It doesn't work, you idiot.
And I'm like,
Right.
okay, Merry Christmas.
Oh, okay, you do Barcraft? I bet you do a great job. I hear about it all the time. All right, so thanks for your call. What's your actual question?
Oh, God.
Another?
Yeah, final call right here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Canadian.
Oh, you always win with the Canadians. Let's
All
go.
right, 819. Welcome to State of the Game.
Hey, Mr. Graham, Mr.
Hello.
Robinson, Mr. McDaniels, Mr. Wazilewski. Sorry, I butchered that. Bonjour,
Everyone
Monsieur
does.
Plot.
Salut.
No trolls tonight. Let's finish that on a high note. I don't have questions. I just want to say happy holidays to everyone. Be safe on the road. Don't drink and drive. And fuck all the haters.
Amen.
Pretty much.
Dude, they
The
fucking.
highest
We'll
note
see you guys
of
next year. State of
Fuck
the
all
Game
the haters.
2014.
All right,
Thank
time
you,
out.
man.
I just want a big shout out to all the guys in the DJ Wheats chat, Juan Jockey and Bowser. So that's it. Happy holidays, guys. Be safe.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you
You
very
dude.
much.
Canada
Later.
raises
Take
its
care.
citizens.
Dude, what did I tell you about
I know,
Canada?
right?
It was just that guy. It was
You always win with Canada.
It's amazing.
I know.
That was great.
It's like-
feel nice.
Take another one.
Another
I
one.
have a question. Unless
yeah.
you want to do a call.
No, go ahead.
No, what's the
Oh,
question?
You can always ask a question.
I
We
took
did- we
one.
did-
Well, he can
We
stay
just
on
got
the.
a
He can stay
special
on the
guest
line.
for the final.
Okay,
Okay.
let's have the special guest.
All right, we got
Oh.
we got area code 330. You're a special guest on State of the Game. Hello.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Better now.
Well, I'm kind of getting a little dark question, I guess.
like it dark.
So, what do you think the future of StarCraft will be if we can't fix the skill gap between the Koreans and foreigners? Do you think that there'll be whole different kind of leagues for the Koreans and the foreigners? I mean, because truthfully, that looks like the way we're going. Do you know what I mean?
The year is 2020, and the Korean StarCraft players have gotten so good that the American
won't
government
stop
has
winning.
collapsed.
All
I
of
don't-
humanity is crowded within 100 square blocks, and Koreans own all of them.
Why won't they stop winning?
Okay, dude, okay, I have the answer because this was the case in Brood War. Koreans were the best, and it's amazing. Oh, they're so good to watch. And every year, it will be like the heralded trainee warrior who is sent to try to take out the dragon. He'll die every year, and it'll just become a tradition. Foreigners will always lose to the Koreans, but it doesn't matter because the Koreans are so good, they will become fans.
Pretty much. It's not. I don't know. It's funny. People in StarCraft 2 were kind of raised in a little bit of a different culture than we were in Brood War. Like, we accepted the Koreans were better and unobtainably good. Like, when a guy, I kid you not, Testy, who was referenced earlier by Day 9, his big lifelong accomplishment, like, he won thousands of dollars, which is a lot in Brood War, and was considered one of the absolute best foreigners. But to this day, what he would tell you and everyone around him that his best accomplishment was he 2-1'd I Love Uv in, like, group play at WCG. I Love Uv would go on to, like, I think almost win that tournament, if not win it, and Testy would die, like, a round or two later. But that was his lifelong accomplishment. Like, it was like, what? You actually... And I don't even think it was I Love Uv. I think it was, like, Midas or something. But it was... That was it.
Draco beat... No, it was... Tessie beat Silent Control, and
Right.
Draco beat Midas.
There you go. So that... And we just named it, and that was 10 years ago. And we're like, that's a legend right now. We're like, oh my god! The match kind of mattered, and they won one of them. And it was okay. So, like, the future is going to be, like Sean said, Koreans are really good. But I guess the point I was trying to make is, it's funny in StarCraft 2, like, we have almost this like disgust that we're not as good as Koreans, and people are like, answer this for me. What is it? Do they eat different food? Is that what it is? Is it like cultural beliefs are different? Is their work ethic better than ours? And you can give all the answers up to wazoo, but people keep asking. But the bottom line is Koreans are better at StarCraft, and it's a really fun and cool storyline when one guy or girl, in the case of a Scarlet, like Naniwa as a guy, works really hard, goes to Korea, and makes a run at it. And they haven't done it yet, right? Like, no foreigners even done shit in GSL. The closest we've had is a couple of guys like Greg, Huck, and a few others. Yeah, they got pretty far. Top fours. And this was back when the argument you'd make against that is like the Koreans weren't as good even then. Top four now would be unreal good. And we're gonna hold that as a huge moment in time. And that's not to be looked down on, because that is a big moment in time. So it's just different. But I was never, I don't know. I don't like the demonizing of Koreans winning. It's to be celebrated because they take this game so fucking serious on like an infrastructure level that I think it's so awesome. But further, the foreigners that take such a risk or have the support of their team to go train abroad in Korea to become good enough to lose 3 rounds into a Korean tournament, that's fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck, State.
All right. Hey, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
There we go. I think that we'll end on that. I wanted to end it on the Canadians note, man. That was such a high. And then we...
God, he's Merry Christmas, drive safe. I'm like, I don't leave my house.
Drive, you know? The rest of DJ Wheat's chat, just want to say, fuck yeah.
Yeah, my God. That's right.
Oh, God. Tyler, what were you going to say before we took the call?
Wait, you want my question?
Yeah. What was your question?
Oh, well, we didn't talk about Scarlet Naniwa. Like, isn't that's the thing?
True. I guess that's the hot topic.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about it, Tyler, you brought it up. What do you want to talk about?
This is bonus time with Tyler.
I'll talk. Well, here, this is what I'll talk about. I loved Naniwa's tweet afterward, where he said,
"Look, fuck the actual games. Fucking just forget. Let's talk about the tweet. What was the tweet, Tyler?"
Yeah. Wait, where's the tweet?
Send me the tweet. I'll show it on screen.
He said, and he touched on this in the post-match interview. He goes, "Scarlet is so greedy, though. I feel like this was kind of a waste of what could have been, but I guess her greed is a big part of her success." And to me, this is he's obviously parodying people who talk about cheese that way, because Naniwa, people say cheese is a big part of his success and all-inning and doing cheesy builds. But the truth is, this is just a comment on the tactical wheel, where if you play greedy, if you play too greedy, you deserve to be punished. And I think there is this hatred against cheese and like timing strats and all-ins and all that kind of stuff. And the truth is, none of them are guaranteed evidence of a fault in the game or a fault in the player. The first thing you should think when it succeeds is, why was the player who lost in a position to lose? Was it because they were too greedy? What could they have done to survive this? And is that a reasonable thing to do? And, in the past, we've had issues where, like Wings of Liberty before Infestor Broodlord was awesome. Zerg had huge problems against Protoss because there were all-ins that they just couldn't scout. And there were games where you saw Protoss all-in and you were like, what could the Zerg do? Nobody really had an answer. It was all theoretical. And that wasn't the end of the road, but it was more severe back then for sure. Nowadays, I think the game is a lot more robust. Heart of the Swarm is a lot more robust. And there's still there's always going to be a bias against cheese. But for those of you who want to be a next level thinker, keep in mind that this is just part of the tactical wheel. And that in a game like StarCraft, a game of limited information, there's always going to be riskiness involved in anything that you do. You cannot have a perfect strategy, a perfect build that won't lose to anything if you play perfectly. Like that shouldn't exist in the game. There has to be some randomness, and you just have to accept that. You also have to accept the existence of the tactical wheel. And for Naniwa, who has had so much success, but at the same time, so many comments of, oh, he's just an all-inner, Well, then why does he keep winning? Like,
he might be one of the best in the history of SC2 at selecting when to play straight up and selecting when to choose.
If he's such a risky player, how is he so consistent? The answer is like he's not more risky than anybody else. That's the nature of the game, and people who play the same way every single time, they hide this nature of the game. And when you have someone who does seemingly random shit, but actually very well calculated shit to up his win percentages, but he has a great variety of play, that's exposing this part of the game, and it's a very cool part of the game. And the sooner that you embrace it and start enjoying it, you're going to love every single match that you watch, because you're going to see the value in every single win and every single loss. And you're not going to watch a game that ended in a timing attack or an all-in or a cheese and say, oh, that was a shit game, what a waste of time, that was a bad match. You're actually going to start to love everything that you watch.
Beautifully said. I agree. I have nothing to add, and I'm not just being glib.
I'll use Scarlet versus Bomber on Habitation Station as a cool example of that, where Bomber busted out the 2 racks, and Scarlet read it and went for speed Zergling before expand. So bold. Like, and the game wound up being really long and really intense, but I mean, those are the sort of plays that make StarCraft exceptional. Not just like, well, both players macroed, and there was like the early wars with the British lining up properly and firing with honor, you know.
Well, I think with that, we shut it down for the year. I think we would call it a state of the game, lock it in. And do got to do shout-outs. Also say hi to Mini Wheat.
Hold on. We've got Mini Wheat. Can you tell us, is StarCraft 2 going to survive another year?
Yes.
All right. He's like the freaking groundhog, man. He comes out once a year. We ask him the question. He said yes. How do you argue with that?
We'll ask him again next year.
Everything's
Adorable.
fine. Everything's fine.
Let's go around and do some shout-outs here. Jeff, since you'll probably be the longest, so let's start with you first.
Yeah, that's a safe bet.
Yeah.
Well, it's the end of the year, and I again just want to. We didn't get emotional. We didn't call a porn star, and
it was pretty tame. Yeah.
This is the more tame one. I hope you guys still enjoyed it, because I hope the expectation isn't that we almost get fired at the end of the year every year. We can have nice ones too. Great talk. Shout out to you guys. Love you guys like brothers, and just, you know, I'm happy we do this. And JP, I know that you're more into all gaming now, but I hope we continue to do this kind of thing around
There's
special
no Koreans
occasions,
in D&D, Jeff. That's all I got to say.
because I like the discussion, and I like that. I think this has a special place in all of our hearts. So I hope we keep doing it. I want to spend some of this time giving a big shout out to a couple of people that I honestly feel like hit a fucking grand slam this year in terms of community members, and that's the Banes. Honestly, I'm in awe of them. At the beginning of last year, I remember, or at the beginning of this year, I made a blog where I talked about how they inspired me to try and be like them more this year, and I wanted to sponsor a player. I wanted to put my money more into the tournament scene. It didn't really work out that way for one reason or another, but I want them to know that what they do matters, and even if they don't necessarily get their money back on everything that they run, it's inspiring and cool to see 2 people married, raising a kid, but still so in love with gaming and communities that they spend time, money, and blood, sweat, and tears doing that work. And they make mistakes just like the rest of us, but they make them trying to do the right thing, and then they try to improve upon those mistakes, and they don't make nearly as many mistakes as some of us mere mortals do. So just a big hat off to them at the end of the year. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it enough. So Jenna and John, thank you so much for all that you do. For me personally, like I said, a lot of people, even one guy mentioned doom and gloom around StarCraft, or was that, maybe that was one of us. I can't remember.
It might have been me.
I just want to say, yeah, it might have been
you.
It was worse. It was a lot more doomy and gloomy. But I want people to know that I really feel like 2014 is going to be a good year. And I'm not just saying that. I really feel like I think WCS is moving in the right direction. I think WCS handled by NESL and ESL is in a fantastic place. They do a great show. They do a great job. I think we have a lot of tournaments to get really excited about, and I hope and like the idea of a more robust, 2010 through 12 streaming scene where every day I can turn on and see Grubby, DeMuslim, Idra, and other players that I like to watch having these fantastic streams that are really cool to check out all the time. And I think that's what's going to happen in 2014. I think more teams are going to close. I think more players are going to retire because the scene's not built to sustain what happened in 2010. But that's not necessarily the end of times, and I don't think people should be worried that StarCraft is going to die. I think Legacy of the Void is going to be a big fucking hit with new units, and I think the game's already in a great place, so I'm really excited. For me personally, I'm really excited about this next year too. There'll be some. This is so stupid that I can't announce things before they happen anymore because I run into this trap. But whatever. There'll be announcements about what my professional life's going to be like pretty soon. I can't say just yet, but I can tell you that I'm really excited about it. We're working on a couple of projects that are really, really cool. I do have a shirt out, so if you want to support me personally, that's the best way to do it. Think of it as my subscription button. Go to Designed by Humans and just look up under the EG store, or Ashes to Ashes is the name of my shirt. That's the best way to support me. And then follow me on Twitter, EG in Control. I'll probably think critically of the scene and write another one of my blogs just like I do. And if you're interested in that, check it out. I'll tweet it around. And in January, I'm going to hit the ground running. I'll start streaming more actively, play in the tournaments that I can, commentate and host the tournaments that I can, stream as much as I can, and play lots of Warhammer. I hope you guys like Warhammer. I'm going to start doing tournaments and shit. I can't help it, guys. I'm kind of addicted. I love the fuck out of Warhammer 40,000.
Is that the end?
That is the end.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were just taking a break and
it's polite if you
Warhammer.
ask, 'cause I could go on for an hour more.
Okay. Wheat, do some shout outs.
You know what? I guess I want to echo the same. Thanks to these guys, obviously, I worked with Sean this year, and obviously you, JP, and Jeff, and Noni. I actually admitted to Noni not too long ago. He was like, I was like, yo, man, I watch your stream quite a bit. He's like, well, why don't you tweet about it a little bit more? So I have been. I've tweeted it a few times since then too.
I saw the viewer increase.
So thanks to all you guys for what you do, and whether it's a StarCraft or whatever content. Like this year to me was about sort of doing the content that I love and enjoy, and you sometimes you can't lose sight of what you are passionate about. So thanks to everyone who just watches whatever the shit is that we're passionate about. The videos, the streams, the whatever. It means a lot, and I look forward to much more in 2014. So thank you very much.
Sean, some shout outs.
Yeah, definitely thanks to all the great people who work in the StarCraft 2 space, because obviously when we all sort of got into it, it was like really brand new and kind of scary in a lot of ways. And now it's like some of my greatest times, just going to tournaments and just having a lot of people that I've known for a while. And because you guys are fucking kick ass, yes. And to extend on that, the day nights in the chat every day when I log in, everyone's so pleasant. Being pleasant is just like revolutionary in terms of cheering my day up and making the daily's quality actually go up, because like no matter how stressful of a day I've had, I'm always in a good mood when it's time for showtime. Little things like being nice go a long way. So just thank you to all people who are just nice for no reason.
Tyler, bring us home. Do some shout outs.
All right. I'll start with thanking the fans. I really like the game itself. I've said it a few times that, and I'm not saying the wrong phrase here, I could care less about the social scene around. Not that I couldn't care less, because I do care a little bit. But I'm often tempted to care less because it can be pretty tiring in dealing with some of the worst parts of it. But there are some very nice parts of it that keep me coming back every time. But what I really love about StarCraft is the game itself. So people who are like me, I know you probably don't participate much in the community because you just like the game. You just watch the game. You're entranced by the game, and that's awesome. And so I just want to give a shout out to you guys and keep loving StarCraft, and StarCraft will keep loving you. Other than that, as far as self-promotion goes. Just watch my stream. It's pretty much everything I got going on right now, but you can also follow me on Twitter and follow me on YouTube, subscribe to me on YouTube. So it's twitch.tv/Noonie. And then my YouTube is the NoonieTube. So you can go to youtube.com/the NoonieTube.
Is it really the
Look at you go.
And then
my
my
God.
Twitter is NoonieTV. So those are the places you can check me out and get more stuff from me. So thanks, everybody.
There you go. I do want to echo what Jeff said in terms of community shout-outs, and mine is we only do this show probably once, twice a year at most, and that I don't plan to do any more next year, but if you're looking for that replacement show, go check out some of Chanman V stuff. If you've never seen his content before, he puts out shows pretty much every week. I can't recall a week where he misses it. I mean, he even did a show this week where there was a family emergency that happened, and instead of just canceling it outright, he came back the next day and finished it out. So if you're looking for StarCraft 2 content on a more regular basis, definitely check him out on Twitch and on YouTube. Huge shout out to you guys, Noni, Sean, In Control, and Wheat for coming on. And I guess the last thing I'll say, in this shark eat dog world, be safe, happy holidays, and we'll see you in 2014. Thanks everyone for watching. We're out. Bye-bye.